Welcome to By George, an 80 Players podcast here at the George Theater. I am your host and marketing associate, Miranda Zabst, and today I have with me...
My name is Paige Conway, and I'm with Houston Arts Pass.
And today we're going to get into all things Houston Arts Pass, and we're just going to get started in all of that. But first, I want to know, what is your background before doing Houston Arts Pass and being the founder? Were you very big into theater? Did you ever think you wanted to be in theater, or was this something that you just happened upon?
So I was an opera singer. So
okay.
I guess that's not really technically theater, but it is theatrical.
No, it's live performance.
It's live performance. So yeah, I actually was a choir kid in high school, and then went to college on a choral scholarship, and then started pursuing opera. And so I've done the whole wearing wigs and singing 3-hour operas and know what it takes to be able to do that. And I was very lucky and very blessed to be able to pursue what I loved. I mean, starting at the age of 18, which is so rare, to be able to go to college and study it and immerse myself in just music. I like to joke with my husband because I don't know a lot of like Rolling Stones and like the Beatles and like some of these songs. He's like, how do you not know these songs? And even like some stuff from our generation. And I'm like, I don't think you understand. I spent like 8 years living in music scores, studying classical music and learning French and German and Italian and all these things. So I got a little behind on my non-operatic music during that 8 years.
Yeah.
So now I'm catching up. But yeah, so I started out in opera and performing and singing and teaching. So yeah.
My goodness, that's amazing. I had no idea.
Yeah.
Do you ever miss it?
Sometimes I miss it because I think I'm a lot more comfortable with who I am now. And so like when you're a singer and you're developing your instrument, a lot of what you deal with is just like not knowing yourself and your body, and like, because it's an instrument that's inside you. It's not like a violin that you can like take and put away. So I think now, and being more mature, I think in some ways I miss it because I think I could approach things better. I think I could approach things with more trueness and not like fear.
Right.
So, but like, again, I get to still be in this world in the arts in Houston and encounter amazing things all the time. So at least I'm not, I didn't go from opera singing to like banking or
no, of course,
or going totally out of it. And I do still sing. I actually volunteer, shout out with Junior League of Houston. And I do this thing called Sing Along with Seniors, and we go sing at senior living facilities.
Oh, that's amazing.
It's actually like one of the best times of my week, because even though we're all volunteers and like I'm the trained musician in the group, but it's just fun because it's just a moment you just realize like it can be really simple. Like the arts and music, theater, and performance can just be a really simple thing. It's really just an exchange with an audience and what's happening on the stage. And so every week I get to go do that. It's so fun to see the transformation that occurs. I get to see that too with audiences in Houston, with all the places that I've been able to work, and seeing audience reactions and seeing an audience vacate a theater. It's actually my favorite time to like see how people are acting.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
No, I also love, that's kind of something that I do in like the marketing world, is as people are leaving or even before the show, that's kind of what we're staring at, is seeing like what is the audience experience, what can we be doing better like before the show to keep people engaged, and doing after the show. Are people leaving happy? Are they leaving this? And so that's so funny that you mentioned that, because I love that aspect of it, and it's people watching as well. And
yeah.
I like that psychology to it. But
yeah. No, that was a little bit of kind of the basis of starting Houston Arts Pass, was seeing like, again, the transformation that occur for attending a live performance. And like, I think a lot of times we're really unaware of that as audience members, but we know it does something to us. And if anything, it's just a moment of entertainment. But in the long run, I do think that these in-person interactions and these live performance moments, these moments that you literally can't get back, like a live performance is live. It could be performed, hundreds of times, but like the actual moment in that night will never happen again.
Right.
So I really find that I found that was just something that I just wanted to encourage and enable in people, because I think it helps our society. I really do. And deep down, I think, again, whether or not we know it, having moments in time where we really truly disconnect and we allow ourselves to get transported to another world, and we allow ourselves to see perspectives that maybe we don't encounter on a daily basis, or we even allow ourselves to sit in a live performance in a theater or a concert and just let our brains kind of daydream. I mean, I tell people all the time, like, if you think you can really truly focus for 3 solid hours, like, you're probably a robot.
Yeah.
And so if at points in time, like, you just kind of find yourself thinking about things, like, I actually think that's actually meaningful. Like, that's your brain's way of saying, like, I needed some time to kind of escape. So I find that I have my best ideas actually while I'm sitting in a live performance.
Wow.
Yeah.
It is. I don't know what to make of that, because it is, I mean, when you're doing work and when you're being consumed in this focus area, whereas during a live performance, you're obviously focused on the performance, but it's also, it allows your mind to go places. It allows you to kind of to loosen up and have that creativity flow through. Yeah. I've never thought of it in that way, but it's so, and it's also, like you were saying, that exchange of, you're watching something creative happening, you're watching emotion, you're watching everything happen, and then for you to feel that and to kind of have this catharsis and these moments of revelation. That's so powerful.
I encourage everyone to do it. I know, we have busy lives, and of course you work for a theater company, so you know how there's so much happening, and I know that because of this right here. I know how many things are happening on any given night, so I realize that we're all very busy people. I kind of view it a little bit like exercise. Because sometimes, like, even though exercise sucks a lot more than going to the theater, well, maybe for some, I do love to exercise too. I'll preface it by saying I do enjoy exercise, but what I'm saying is it sometimes you don't, like, even I go to stuff sometimes and I'm like, I'm a little tired today. It's been a long week. I kind of didn't feel like maybe putting on like a dress today, or not that you have to dress up for the theater, but I'm saying is like, I could have been home right now, but then I leave and I'm like, oh my gosh, I needed that. Like, I needed that. And I don't know why, but it always changes me. So I just think if, we all kind of think of the arts as like a medicine in a way, like we all need our little spurts of it. And it might not be every weekend. I mean, we all have lives and families and things, but if people can see the variety that's out there and how much they can choose from, then maybe they can find something that really is meaningful to them. And so I just encourage people, like, just try to, like, work it into your schedule. If you're new to the arts world in Houston, or even new to the theater performing arts world, try to work it out like once a quarter. Like, go see something that you didn't know existed. And then you've got people who really, really, like, enthusiastic theater goers who are here probably every, at least once a month, right?
Yeah, exactly.
And those are great people too. But there are a lot of people who really just, they don't know how to approach it, or they've heard about it and they think it's cool. So, like, just don't try to overdo it. You might not have to go subscribe right away, but just go and check something out and try it, and then decide, what you like. And then again, the goal with Houston Arts Pass, by creating a membership where people can access a variety of things, go try a lot of different things. The goal was for them to become acquainted with what is happening, and then, have the decision to say, you know what, I really loved that string quartet a lot. And I think I'm going to go investigate their season and actually become a subscriber. Okay, great. And once you become a subscriber, the organizational capacity hopefully will make it so you can donate. And once you become a donor, there's opportunity to grow as a donor. And then once you become a donor, there's potential for you to become a leader in the organization, because it's a nonprofit entity with a board, right? So that stepwise path it takes years to create that. But if that's happening, like, on a multiplied level, like everywhere in Houston, like, new people are coming in, they're getting more invested, they're becoming supporters as the best they can. And then if you just took that and multiplied it, like, our arts community would be like, the capacity would be massive.
Right.
So it really starts with the people in our community and the people who are, like, listening to this right now. Like, it's actually really impactful when you show up and try something different. And try a new theater or try a new.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think the thing that we're always struggling with, or that we're always encouraging people to do, is if you love coming to the theater and you love what we're doing here, it's to tell your friends, it's to tell your family, it's to tell everybody. Yeah. Because it is it's communal. And why wouldn't you, if you're getting this catharsis, if you're having this wonderful experience, you need to share it with everybody that you possibly can.
For sure.
But I'm not very big into theater, and it just wasn't something that I had growing up. My family wasn't really into the arts or into live performances. And now that I've worked here for a year, for every show I think they'd be interested in, I'm constantly bringing them in. And then now they're starting to bring in their sisters, my aunts and uncles, and their friends and their colleagues from work. And so it's just amazing what, like, one person, you telling somebody like how wonderful the theater is, what a big impact that can create.
Yeah.
You talk about these kind of hurdles of getting into the theater and like not having the time. And I think my biggest thing, or that I think some people's biggest thing, is like not knowing what to expect, but you don't know what until you come in and just try that one show, and you don't know if you're going to like it until you come in.
Right.
The other thing that I feel like a lot of people think is a big hurdle for theater is the price tag on it. And so I wanted to, being Houston Arts Pass, what are you kind of doing, and how does that system of membership work for the Houston community?
Yeah, I think our theater community, our arts community, is actually quite affordable in Houston. That's my personal opinion. Yeah. I realize that there are communities and people who might find the arts to be expensive, but I think that happens when there's a lack of knowledge of the variety out there. So while, a price tag is relevant to the person, right? Because it's based on your personal finances. But with Houston Arts Pass, what we've done is created a platform we have over 30 individual arts groups that are part of it. AD Players is part of it, yay.
Yes.
And I love AD Players. I've really gotten to know so many great arts organizations since I've started this. So yeah, with what we created, basically I really wanted to focus on local arts groups that have ticket prices generally between $25 to $80. So that's the average. Most tickets that are on Houston Arts Pass retail for, the average is like $35 to $50. And the membership allows its members to get another 30% off those tickets. Most of the time, if you're a Houston Arts Pass member, you're not spending more than about $28 to $45 on a ticket. So, if you think about that price, you think about going to a movie, right? Let's say you go to a Saturday night movie, which is prime time. Yep. Your ticket is probably like $18 now?
I think I was going to say closer to 20, but
20, okay. So there's $20 right there. If you go bare bones and don't get any concessions, okay, that's your night. Yeah. But you're like, if you want to want popcorn, right? Like,
of course,
that's part of the experience of going to the movie. So that's another $10
easily
right there.
Yeah.
So you and your partner or your date have now spent $50 to go somewhere, to go to the movies. And again, I love the movies, so I'm not saying don't go to the movies.
Of course.
I really love action movies, actually. That's like what I enjoy doing in the theater.
Yeah.
But I can probably say at least 100 shows on Houston Arts Pass where you could spend the same amount of money. And if it's more than that, it's probably, not much more than about $10 to $20 more. And what you've done by deciding to go to a live performance is you're actually supporting the nonprofit arts community. The ticketing, the way it works with Houston Arts Pass for the arts groups is they get back approximately 70% of the retail value of their ticket. So, and the arts groups that are involved don't pay anything to be part of it. So there's no cost on their end other than what you would lose from the discount of, offering a discounted ticket. And so, what you're really doing by deciding to attend a performance is you're supporting these arts organizations. They're getting paid. Yeah. They're making money on their ticket. Yeah. And you're really getting more invested in kind of understanding the fabric of the nonprofit arts community. Right. And I've been really purposeful to only work with nonprofit arts groups right now because those are the ones that need the most support, right? So, like $50, you'd go to a movie. Yeah. I think the live element is like such a value add.
Of course.
To your cost. So that's kind of the pricing, the way it works with Houston Arts Pass.
No, of course. It's really about again, and I'll say it again, and I know we're going to just keep saying it, but it's the community, and it's
right.
You really can't, that price tag for a live performance when you are 3 rows back from actual people putting their hearts out on the stage and are feeling these emotions, and then you feel these emotions. Not only that, to then come out of the theater, whereas when you go to the movie theater now, I feel like I never see anybody there, but I don't go to the big premieres. But when you come here, like you walk out and you can hear people talking about, oh, did you like this and this? And I've had people come up to me, complete strangers, who are like, hey, how did you like think about this? And I like this about it. And then we have a dialogue and we have a conversation about
I love that.
this experience, but also the fact that you've made it so accessible to see everything that's going on in Houston and working with all of these nonprofit organizations and helping this community as a whole.
I think we're better together than we are separate. And I think also, again, going back to the original problem is that we all need new audience members.
Right.
There's absolutely no arts organization in the city of Houston, or probably anywhere, that would be like, no, we're good.
Yeah, we actually don't need anybody
We
else.
have plenty of new people. All of our everything is full at max capacity all the time. We just have to turn away new people. We just have too many.
No.
I just don't think you're going to encounter that. And if that does happen, like in our world down years from now, then I guess
amazing, we've made it.
I guess something has changed, and that's a great thing, and maybe Houston Arts Pass can help that. But I've come to performances at AD Players where you're not only like super close to the performance happening, but you're also like, some of the shows are very interactive.
Yes
like the Forever Plaid show.
Okay. Yes.
Oh my God, I was laughing. My husband was like laughing out loud too, and like, he's a little bit of a tough sell. I mean, this is like the best thing since sliced bread. It was so fun and cheeky. But I do think there were parts of it where people where the actors were in the aisles.
Yes, they were.
And I've seen that happen in many other places too. Like, again, because when you have a theater of this size, you can be pretty nimble with your productions. I've seen that happen all over the place, and I always love that, because I think people feel like they're really more immersed in it.
Most definitely. I thought you actually were going to say, did you come and see The Play That Goes Wrong when we did that?
I didn't see that one.
That's okay. It's just when people start talking about interactive, I don't know why that's where my brain goes for the first time. And it's honestly not that interactive. It's just because there's a part where one of the actors has lost a book that he needs to solve the mystery, and then like people from the audience start calling out, it's over there, and so I love that. But also I loved Forever Plaid. I know I work here and my opinion is biased, but I did go see it 7 times. So I had to see it all of the rehearsal times, and so count that 3 or 4 times, and then I actually came by myself and saw it. I brought my roommate to see it. I brought my family to see it, because one, musical theater, you can't walk away not in a better mood. Like, you were just, and the music, classic music, that they sounded amazing. But also that element of every time I went in, I did not know what was going to happen when they brought the audience participation in. Because they bring up one of the audience members to play one of the songs. And so every single time it was something different. And then also going each of those times, it's just, for people who haven't experienced live theater, again, I'm very new to it. I've only done this for a year now. Honest to God, I've only gone and seen live theater for a year. But when you go and see the same show multiple times, not saying that you have to, it is a bit different each time. And you can see the actors playing with certain lines and playing with different things and playing with the audience. And are they going to laugh at this joke now? Or maybe I'll emphasize this, or maybe I'll fall over this way or something. Like, it's just different. It's such a different experience.
That's going back to that like moment that you can't replicate. You could see a show 700 different times, or you could, many people like to travel to go see their favorite opera or their favorite play. And why do they do that? Well, they've already seen it. Like, why would you go and see something over and over again? Well, there's also movies that you love that you see over and over again, or music that I listen to over and over again because I love it. So, and I think it's because, again, you really can't, the moment in time in that venue with those people sitting next to you, breathing that same air. That's different every time, even if it's the same play or same production.
I want to ask you, so you've been in Houston your whole life? You did opera in Houston, or?
I've been here almost 10 years.
Gotcha, okay.
I'm from Austin originally.
Gotcha. Oh, so Texan still.
Okay. Still a Texan. Yes.
I'm going to have to kick you out.
I was going to say, thank goodness, because Houston's so unwelcoming to everyone. I'm kidding.
No.
Houston's such a welcoming city. That's actually one of the reasons why I think I've been here so long.
Yeah, no, of course.
And it was one of the things I was most surprised about when I first moved here. It was such a big, I moved here from Boston where I was working, and
I see, okay.
I was in school there and stuff. But I found that the community was so welcoming from the start. And I really love that there's a lot of opportunity here. Like when I had the idea for Houston Arts Pass, the organization where I was working at the time, my boss was like, yeah, do it. Yeah. Love the idea. Do it. Yeah. Like, go for it. And it was like, wow. So having those kind of opportunities is great. I think I'll stay here for the long haul for that reason, because people are so great here.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very friendly city.
What have you noticed in your time here kind of as audiences? I know we bring it up every once in a while. I mean, the pandemic really hurt the community, and now a lot of people have that fear of going out, or they've just gotten used to staying inside. Right. What have you seen through your line of work about like how the audience is changing, or how tides might be changing?
You know, I don't know. Again, I can only know with Houston what's happening. It could be different in other places of the country, but I do think audiences are eager to be back. Yeah. You know, as far as like, I think the main thing that I'm seeing and that I'm hearing from audiences is the need for flexibility. Yeah. Because like you said, we got out of the habit of going every, fifth Sunday to the theater. Right. So people, I think, are expecting a little more flexibility in their lives. Because I think we've also, because of the way work has changed too, like we've been now offered more flexibility in our lives for work. Yeah. With the hybrid model for a lot of people. So I think people are wanting the same thing in their entertainment. So I think that's one of the challenges that organizations have, is with really getting that consistent subscription base to stay and keep coming back. I think that's the struggle. But as far as like the community goes and like coming back, and what I see when I am out, is that the audience participation and attendance is quite good. Yeah. If we've lost audiences, I think certainly we're gaining some new people, which is good. I think we live in a world clearly with a ton of competition for time and energy and focus. And I think that's going to be interesting to see what happens in the years down the road, because I think productions are going to have to start thinking about how to be maybe shorter in time. I mean, people's attention spans are changing. But I think for the most part, I see a lot of, still like a lot of vitality in our community in Houston. So
yeah, of course.
Yeah.
What do you get as a Houston Arts Pass member? What's the process like?
Yeah. So $99 a year. And with that, you get up to 30% off on all the shows that we have that are part of Houston Arts Pass. So this past season, we had over 400 individual performances with 30 different arts groups that range from theater, dance, opera, jazz, string quartet. So right now it's really more performing arts, because the reason for that is really simply because performing arts happen on one night or individual night, whereas in the visual arts it tends to be more like a long-standing exhibit. So it's hard to plan a specific event with something like that. Gotcha. But I'm working on ways to incorporate the visual arts too at some point. So yeah, so it's up to 30% off. The cool thing too, I mean, I find it really convenient to be able to go to one place and book all your tickets in one place. And when you become a member, you just log in, you go to the calendar, you click buy, you add those tickets to your cart, you check out. Those tickets are there for you at will call. You don't have to do anything. It's all set up logistically so that you just get to come and enjoy the show. Right. And so I think that's a huge benefit too. You get your little promotional piece of stuff. Yeah. And then we also have member events. So what I try to do is create at least one time a month a member event before a performance to kind of get people just engaged and get to know each other and build the community of membership. And so I think it's a really great thing if you're interested in meeting other people in Houston too. I mean, that's, again, we've used the term community a lot, but I mean, it's what we all need, whether we know it or not. So, so basically if you go, I always say this, so if you go to 4 shows a year, you've paid for your membership. Wow. So the average discount per ticket is about $10 to $15. So if you're a couple and you go 4 times a year, that's 8 tickets, about $80-$90 right there. Yeah. You've saved. And you're getting a lot more than just that. You're getting the events. The events are included in your membership. Right. So members get to come and we do a drink ticket and a light bites and stuff like that. And then we're also working on getting more backstage tour stuff happening, things that are a little more specific and unique. So I think it's a pretty good deal.
No, most definitely. Yeah.
And I think, as another thing I've been doing too is creating these really fun curated packages.
That's what I was just about to ask, was about the packages.
Yeah. I'm still navigating that and how to do it the best way. So, but what I did, this is like my nerdy side. Like what I really, really, really love to do is sit down and look at everything that's on the calendar and find like themes that connect.
Right. Yeah.
And so I have some really fun ideas for some packages that come in the fall. So, and if you're a member of Houston Arts Pass, you can buy those packages like at the discounted rate. So most of them are like three shows and like average of like $99 too. Yeah. So if you do that, then that's a good way to get in it too. So I'm working on getting those set up for the fall. Right now, most of the arts organizations just released their seasons. Yeah. Because I work directly with each arts organization, it takes some time to get everything onto the calendar.
Of course.
Once it's up, the calendar is really cool. You can search based on a genre. You can also see it like as a calendar itself. So you could be like, I need something to do on May 9th.
Right.
There's like 3 or 4 things. Go ahead and do it. Right. So just like utilizing your membership in a way, like it's how Houston Arts Pass as like your source. Yeah.
Oh man, I have so many things to touch on, and pardon me if they're all around the place. I actually read an article, I want to say last week, about Broadway, and it was about Gen Z and getting younger audiences in to come see theater. And again, it's not Houston, they were talking about Broadway specific, but I think it's applicable to like all theater, because again, we're all looking to bring audience. And the biggest concern of Gen Z people looking to go to theater is that they are not advertised it, or they don't know that it's happening. Yeah. And so I think Houston Arts Pass, you've made a really unique situation. You've created this place where you can visit and you can see everything that's going on. Yeah. And so when you do have that experience of like, oh, I don't have anything to do this next Saturday, and maybe I'll just stay home. But like that's a place where you can go, and even by genre, that's so cool. I didn't know that you could do that as well.
Yeah. So just like search type theater or type, there's like keywords too. You'll see when you go to the calendar, each little event is listed, and it'll be like world premiere, folk music, guitar. Like, so I try to do in the best way I can describe the general experience. And then there's a description, and it shows everything that you're going to see. So, and then it shows who it's presented by. Still to say presented by 80 players or presented by Mercury Orchestra. So yeah, so I really I really do think it's amazing to look at. Sometimes, like, again, I not like bragging, but what I'm trying to say is, like, sometimes when I look at the arts calendar and Houston Arts Pass, I'm like, this is cool. Like, if I was a member, if I was like, I'm also an arts person. So, of course. Yes, I think I try to think literally outside the box office. That's what this says. I try to think like someone who is not maybe an arts enthusiast like me, who wasn't a trained opera singer or so I try to think in that way, and I think the arts organizations need to continue doing what they do really well. I think we get into problems when we start changing our programming so drastically to suit everyone's needs, because you're never going to suit everyone's needs at the end of the day. But I think that the arts groups in Houston, and I work with so many people, or staff members who are founders of organizations, and I am always amazed by the level of creativity and hard work in our arts community in Houston. It's one of the most, like, have no doubt, when you go to a show in Houston, the team behind that show has worked their tail off. And that's not why you should go. I'm not saying, oh, we all work so hard, so come support us. I'm just saying that it's a very dedicated group of individuals who make all these things happen. And so what I hope is that arts groups don't feel that they have to just change who they are. Like, I want Houston Arts Pass to be something that actually encourages them to be more distinctive, because that's what, like, we need all levels of variety. So that's one thing I worry about, is when we change our programming so much that it doesn't fall within the specific mission of the organization, that, that you can't suit everyone. But that said, there is something out there for everyone.
Yes, there is. And so that's the other thing that I was going to touch on. I think that a lot of people, if you're not privy to like the theater life, and again, only a year, is that you aren't going to like everything. And but again, this movie analogy, you don't like every movie that you go to the theater and see. And it's about finding the right genre. It's about finding the right style. Because, like, I mean, we have live performances. We have plays and musicals and things like that. But there are other theaters that just do musicals. There are other, there's just opera, or there's quartets, and there's all these other musicians that you can go see. And so it's about finding what you like, but also not being discouraged if the first time you go, you're not absolutely like blown away or enthralled with that story or that type of theater, because there's so much more out there, and it is a bit of finding your way through that.
I mean, I think it's really courageous of AD players to assert themselves as a Christian-based theater company. I mean, because again, your audience is made up of probably Christians and non-Christians, and but it's basically saying this is what you do, and you're welcoming of all kinds of people, whether, no matter what you believe, but that's your focus. And I think that whether or not you are a Christian or not, you're going to appreciate the fact that it's, what you're walking into. Yeah. Like you're not being like duped,
of course, yeah.
So I really think that like, that's a great thing. I like that AD Players does that. And I think in Houston, with the amount of culture and diversity we have, there's a lot of opportunity for every kind of arts organization to exist. I mean, and if we think about culturally based organizations, there's some great ones on Houston Arts Pass. There's Seelenbaum, which is an Indian dance company.
Oh, okay.
Ishida Dance, which is founded by a Japanese choreographer. So things like that I think, people are amazed when they find out that the arts organizations are starting more so to reflect the cultural diversity of Houston, and that's really cool.
And that's what I was going to say. Yeah, Houston, everybody says is the melting pot, and so like to see all of those cultures play out in this arts world is amazing.
Yeah. No, it's great. I mean, what happens when you're in a city that has a mix of diversity met with opportunity, met with strong resources that are available in funding in our city. Right. It's like the best of everything. So you generate like the coolest type of work. Yeah. So those three things I think are really what make our arts community amazing. And I know I hear people who come from like New York and they're like, what? Like, this is amazing. And it's like,
nobody knows. I mean,
like, especially the museum district. I think people are amazed by that. It's like, you do have to drive, but you can't necessarily walk everywhere. But with Houston Arts Pass, we have a map on the website that shows all the venues, and it'll show, things like all the way in the Energy Corridor, all the way to going towards Cypress. Again, we're working on getting more. Right now, even just that is a ton of.
No. Yeah. I can't. And you should, and this was something that I was going to say, that you should be proud of that. I don't see it as bragging when you talk about it in that way. I think you are a person who is uniquely qualified to run the organization that you founded, because you're an arts person, because you were in that arts world. You know the struggle, and you know what is needed, and how much is actually out there. And so I can see, like, looking at your work and seeing everything that's happening, it's a sense of pride in what you've achieved, but also in what Houston is doing. Like,
that's a really great way of saying, like, I do. I feel like I'm like an arts concierge. Like everywhere I go, I'm like, oh, so what do you enjoy? I'm like, oh, well then you love this organization. You should go. And I really do get to have the bird's eye view of everything. And because I've worked in the arts for a while now, arts organizations are run by really lean teams, really lean staff. Okay. They're usually doing so much more than any team could ever do, but they're doing it. And they're executing it. That's going back to that, like what I said about the hard work and the creativity side. Like that's present everywhere in all these arts organizations. From a functional logistics side, like getting arts organizations set up on Houston Arts Pass, that being that communicator with them and sitting down and really understanding their needs, and also just like functionally that like they won't maybe get back to me in 24 hours, right? Because they're trying to probably like triage something, because there's always something, right? Yeah. So I think it takes maybe someone like me who has a level of patience to understand that it's not that they're like, that they don't care, that they don't, it's just time I know is so limited. Right. So I try to make, because of that, I really do try to make things as simple as possible. Arts organizations, when they're onboarded, have a few steps they have to take, but generally I try to keep it as simple simple.
No, of course.
Yeah.
And that's what I was going to say. First off, I feel like you've called me out because I answered your email late about being on the podcast.
No, not that. No, I'm sorry. That was not in my brain.
I'm joking. It was just as I was like, wow, because we are, because that's, and I imagine every theater.
And I think everyone's just using all their brain power to do their production that they're in right then and there, that like another little thing where it's like, hey, I need you to sign this one thing, is like, you know,
it's over.
It's like it shoots you over your capacity, and you're like, even though it's like a very simple thing, it's like, I can't do it. So
exactly.
So I'm lucky to, like, I've been able to, like, you know, the arts organizations who are part of it, generally I kind of have the general freedom to just like push whatever you're pushing, and share whatever you're sharing, and then kind of, you know, again, knowing kind of just how the needs of everyone, like if those are being met, then like everyone's pretty happy to be part of it. So,
and it's first off, I want to say, yes, Houston Arts Pass, just everything that I've heard and everything that we've done together through 80 players and in Houston Arts Pass, you make it so easy. You make it easy for the people that you're working with. You make it easy for the audiences in Houston who want to come see a show. And so I just flat line out there, if you get one thing from the podcast, it's that you make going to arts in Houston easier, more manageable. The other thing that I wanted to say is that I applaud, again, everything that you do. You do help in those, in respect to our partnership and working together. Every time we're doing a show and you're posting it on your social media, that helps so much, at least in marketing, to be like, oh, look, we have another like person helping us get the name out there, and then we get to repost, and we hope that when we're putting, you can repost things and all that. And so it really is like a symbiotic. It's a really great relationship that we have. And so
I love it. I'm telling you, I love talking to the individual people who work with the arts organizations, and I've had sit-down conversations with all 30 arts groups.
My goodness.
Because it was important to me for them to actually know I'm a human being, first of all.
Right.
And that I'm not just like some like third party like in wherever. Like I'm here, I'm local, I've done everything that you've done. Like I'm a real human being, and I understand like how stressed out you are all the time.
No, of course, yeah.
So that was really important to me. But that's honestly one of the greatest joys of doing Houston Arts Pass, is getting to understand all these companies and getting to know the people behind it. It's like amazing. Yeah. It's fun.
So I do this at the end of every episode where I kind of ask like lightning round questions.
Okay.
I like to ask my audience member, if they've been in the arts, what is one of the horror stories or one of your like biggest mishaps that you've had while on stage?
While on stage, like when I was performing,
or when you're
as
performing,
more in the
whatever one first comes to mind. If you have one as an administrator, I'd like to hear what that one is.
First of all, nothing surprises me anymore.
Gotcha. Okay.
Ever.
Yeah.
Probably. Okay. Well, this one was back in my high school days.
Gotcha. Okay.
I was in West Side Story, and I was Shark. And we were doing "I Want to Be in America." We were singing that, and the dance was very heavily involved with the skirt, the petticoat. A lot of you probably can't see me doing this on the podcast, but it's a lot of that sassy skirt turning that you do when you're in West Side Story.
Yeah.
And I was really going at it, and all of a sudden I felt the skirt falling, and like one by one I realized it was my petticoat.
Right.
And it was like slipping, and I had to keep using it. So I was like, but that's making it slip down more.
Yeah.
And I'm losing my petticoat. I'm trying to. And it was like the final dress rehearsal of the big show. And I was like, you know, and I'll never forget, my choir director sees this happening, and he's like yelling from the audience. He's like, because I said use your skirt, not lose your skirt. And I'm like falling off, like running off the stage with my petticoat falling down. And that was in high school, so I figured
absolutely soul crushing.
Only going on up from there, right?
No, you've got it out of the way now. Exactly.
Oh God, that's just one. So many more. But
but everybody makes mistakes, and we all are able to get by them. And I think if we share them a little bit more, it brings us together.
Yeah, it definitely toughens you up.
I want to ask, in Houston's Arts Pass, is there any show or any like performance or live theater that's coming up that you're really looking forward to?
I can tell you, I'm trying to think of the recent ones I've attended that have really stood out to me. I really love, there's a string quartet, La Speranza, that is doing some really cool stuff that I just have found to be really interesting to get to know them and learn more and go to their performances.
Yeah.
I think Rec Room is really cool. I think their theater is an interesting setup. Fourth Wall does some really cool stuff too. They did a show called the Thanksgiving Play a few months ago that I thought was hilarious. ROCO is part of Houston Arts Pass, and they just did an amazing performance at the Brockman Hall for opera. Really, really gorgeous program. Enjoyed that. There's just so much. I know, and it's overwhelming to me even sometimes. I try to go to as much as I can. I try to hop in and hop out. I try to get as much content as I can when I go places. And I'm working with onboarding a few, right now we're probably talking about 3 or 4 more arts organizations.
That's
who are
amazing.
Be part of it. Yeah. So, because the key thing for me is getting variety, getting as much variety out there so that the offerings are really strong.
And finally, is there anything that I wasn't able to touch on or a question that I didn't ask you about Houston Arts Pass that you want to let our audience know?
Go to HoustonArtsPass.com. It's really easy. Just type in Houston Arts and then it should pop up. Thank you, Google. I think the main thing to know is that it's really a collaborative effort. And even though I spearhead it, I mean, all these arts groups that are part of it are all like very much on board with and very much okay with being on the same menu. Yeah. Right? Like you're sharing a Carrabba's menu with a Los Tios menu with you know what I mean? You're putting it all in one place, and all the arts organizations that are part of it are like that deems them collaborative. Yeah. And I think that's something that I think needs to be recognized and honored, that all the arts groups that are part of it are collaborative and open to being seen on the same platform as 30 other arts groups. It's not a competition. It's this is amazing because it helps the whole community. So I think when people go to HoustonArtsPass.com, just knowing these are all, again, nonprofit 501c3 performing arts groups that are existing in Houston to make people happy. So yeah.
Well, thank you so much for being on this episode of By George.
You're welcome. It was fun.
Thank you guys all for listening to this episode of By George. Please go check out Houston'sArtsPass.com and see what's going on in Houston, see what we have coming up for the summer, just at 80 Players, of course, because that's where we are. But also, again, it's not a competition. And go check out all of the live theater performances that are going around Houston. I'm sure you're going to be able to find something that you like, and for a great price, great time. So thank you guys again for listening, and we'll see you all next time. Bye. This has been By George, an 80 Players at the George Theater podcast, hosted and produced by Miranda Zapes. Listen anywhere you listen to podcasts, and follow us on Instagram at By George Theater. That's THEATRE. Sure to like, share, and subscribe. And By George, we'll see y'all next time. I also want to ask you about, the question, it's leaving me. I knew it was.
Don't think about it. Just don't think about it. How about this? I'll plug this, and then if you want to interrupt me and you get it, just interrupt me. Okay. This is my Houston Arts Pass Tumblr. Ooh, So if you become a Houston Arts Pass member, you get to get this awesome tumbler. And I know we all have 17 million of these in our cabinets, but don't you want another one? Okay, that's my plug. Did the question come back?
It did not, but I want